Hello, everyone. There's a fundamental principle in neuroscience that most people overlook. The brain changes in response to what you do regularly, not occasionally. That's called experience-dependent plasticity. Your thoughts, actions, and even the way you move or breathe create lasting changes in your brain's structure and function. This means you are not stuck. Your focus, emotional resilience, and cognitive sharpness are all trainable capacities. But it's not about doing 100 different things or chasing hacks and shortcuts. The most transformative changes come from a few behaviors practiced consistently. When you understand how your nervous system operates, how your brain communicates with your body, and how your internal state shapes external outcomes, you see clearly that performance, mood, sleep, and relationships are built on foundational pillars. If you get these 5 pillars right, you set yourself up for better health, clearer thinking, and more control over daily life. This episode is about those 5 non-negotiable daily practices, grounded in neurobiology and high-quality research, that align with how your brain and body are designed to function. This isn't about perfection, it's about direction. Small changes done consistently lead to large-scale rewiring of brain circuits, shifting your behaviors, thoughts, and outcomes. Let's explore the 5 things you must work on daily to build a brain and body that support the life you want. Number 1. Sleep-wake timing and light exposure. This regulates nearly every biological system through your circadian rhythm, controlled by the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, in the hypothalamus, which relies on light, especially natural sunlight. When light hits the melanopsin-containing retinal ganglion cells in your eyes, it sends signals to the SCN, triggering hormone release, temperature regulation, and neural activity. Early light exposure influences dopamine, cortisol, and serotonin rhythms, supporting motivation, focus, and mood. Without it, you may feel groggy or irritable due to circadian misalignment, like in weekend social jet lag. To fix this, within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, go outside without sunglasses or window barriers. 5 to 10 minutes of morning light on clear days or 15 to 20 minutes on cloudy days is ideal. If awake before sunrise, use a 10,000 lux light box, though sunlight is superior. At night, avoid bright lights and screens after 8 p.m., using dim, low lights instead to promote melatonin and sleep. Early light synchronizes your limbic system and prefrontal cortex, programming your brain for alertness during the day and deep rest at night. Morning light is neural programming, giving your nervous system a crucial time cue to stabilize mood, focus, and energy. Think of stepping outside as logging into your day. Number 2. Focus work intervals. Focus is a trainable skill tied to the neurochemistry of learning and performance, specifically acetylcholine from the basal forebrain, sharpening signal-to-noise ratio and boosting attention, with dopamine enhancing motivation and learning consolidation. Multitasking, like switching between emails and tabs, causes task switching costs, burning more brain energy and reducing cognitive performance. To combat this, use 90-minute focus blocks during natural alertness cycles, removing all distractions, setting one clear goal per block, and taking 5 to 10-minute non-distracted breaks after. Deep focus engages the anterior cingulate cortex and strengthens prefrontal subcortical circuitry, creating a rewarding neural feedback loop reinforced by dopamine. Deep focus isn't about working harder, but creating conditions for sustained engagement. In a distracted world, attention is a rare and valuable physiological state built through intentional practice. Number 3. Physical movement. Exercise isn't just about body composition or cardiovascular health. It profoundly impacts the brain by stimulating brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, promoting neuron survival and new synaptic connections. Movement increases dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, enhancing motivation, focus, and mood regulation. Consistent movement strengthens these effects. Working from home without movement can cause fogginess and low energy, whereas a brisk 10-minute walk can refresh brain oxygenation and reset focus. Light to moderate exercise improves working memory, cognitive flexibility, and reduces depression and anxiety symptoms. Move daily for 20 to 45 minutes, preferably zone 2 training, elevated heart rate but conversational ability. If short on time, microbursts of movement like short walks or stretching reset neurochemistry. Movement outdoors doubles benefits through circadian alignment and neuromodulator activation. Movement activates the motor cortex and deep limbic structures like the amygdala and hippocampus, reducing fear responses and enhancing prefrontal cortex function for clearer thinking and emotional regulation. Exercise isn't just for fitness. It's a neurochemical reset button, quickly shifting mood, focus, and learning readiness. See movement as a lever to regulate and optimize your nervous system. Number 4, deliberate stillness. In a hyperstimulated world, stillness feels counterintuitive, but it's about training your nervous system to shift from activation to restoration. Decompress, but it doesn't help. That's because the brain doesn't interpret digital input as restful. Even passive consumption activates attention networks in the default mode network, keeping your system in a semi-alert state. Now, compare that to a 10-minute NSDR session, eyes closed, lying down, following a guided script. As your breathing slows and your attention turns inward, the thalamus, the brain's relay station, reduces incoming sensory traffic. The result? You enter a hypnagogic-like state, deeply relaxed, not asleep, but restorative. Here's an actionable tool you can start using today. NSDR Yoga Nidra for 10 to 20 minutes per day. There are excellent free versions available on YouTube and various apps. If you prefer something more mobile, try cyclical sighing, a breathing protocol involving one deep inhale through the nose, followed by a second shorter inhale, then a long, slow exhale. Repeat for 5 rounds. This has been shown to rapidly reduce anxiety and restore parasympathetic balance. Schedule this after focused work or before sleep to maximize neural recovery and learning retention. Why does this work? Neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to rewire itself, is enhanced by periods of focused effort followed by deep rest. Without the rest phase, your brain can't consolidate new information or recover metabolic resources. This is how high performers avoid burnout, by integrating deliberate downshifting into their daily routine. And here's a simple reframe. Stillness is not the opposite of productivity, it's the fuel for it. Focus is how you encode information. Rest is how you lock it in. You're not wasting time when you pause. You're building the internal conditions for resilience, clarity, and creativity. Now, number 5, meaningful social connection. We often think of social interaction as something optional, nice to have, but not essential. Neuroscience tells us a different story. Humans are wired for connection, and meaningful relationships are vital for brain and body health. The neurobiology of social bonding runs deep. When we connect with others in authentic, emotionally present ways, we stimulate the release of oxytocin, a neuropeptide that reduces stress, enhances feelings of trust, and increases activity in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the region involved in emotional regulation and decision-making. Oxytocin also inhibits the activity of the amygdala, the brain's threat detection system, allowing you to feel safe, open, and more connected to others. In fact, studies show that regular positive social interaction improves immune function, lowers cortisol levels, and even increases dopamine and pathways related to reward and motivation. Here's a real-world scenario. Imagine you're under stress, tight deadline, poor sleep, mental fatigue. You push through the day, maybe even get some work done, but you feel disconnected, flat, or anxious. You think the answer might be more discipline or another productivity tool. But then a friend calls. You talk, laugh, maybe vent a little. That short interaction activates mirror neurons, enhances oxytocin and dopamine release, and importantly, restores emotional homeostasis. You didn't fix everything, but your system has rebalanced. Here's the actionable protocol. Aim for at least one meaningful interaction per day. This could be a phone call, a walk with a friend, a shared meal, or even a short moment of eye contact and presence with someone you care about. Quality matters more than quantity. Deep, emotionally present interactions have more profound effects than multiple shallow ones. If you're in a high-stress season or feeling isolated, structured group activities, such as classes, team sports, or even volunteer work, can re-engage these circuits and build resilience. Why does this work from a brain function standpoint? Social bonding activates the default mode network in healthy ways. This is the system involved in self-reflection and empathy. When you connect with others, you also recalibrate your interoceptive awareness, your sense of what's happening inside your body, which helps regulate mood and energy levels. Additionally, regular social contact helps maintain neuroplasticity in areas of the brain associated with cognition and memory, especially as we age. It literally keeps your brain young. Here's a powerful reframe. Social connection isn't a distraction from your goals. It's part of the biological foundation that allows you to reach those goals. We are not meant to function in isolation. The nervous system requires co-regulation with others. So don't see that call to a friend or moment of presence with a loved one as something extra. See it as neural nourishment, one of the most natural science-supported ways to reduce stress and enhance brain function. Let's move on to number 6. Intention and reflection. Your brain is a goal-directed organ. Every waking moment, it's constantly predicting, assessing, and adjusting based on your perceived outcomes. When you engage in daily intention setting and reflection, you're not just organizing your thoughts, you're training your neural networks to operate with precision and purpose. This taps into a brain system known as the salience network. It's anchored in regions like the anterior insula and dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, and it's responsible for filtering what information is worth your attention and action. By setting intentions, even simple ones, you amplify activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is essential for executive function, planning, and emotional regulation. And when you reflect, you activate the default mode network, integrating your experiences, reinforcing learning, and updating your internal model of the world. Here's a real-world example. You wake up, grab your phone, check email, scroll social media. You're already reacting before you've had a chance to steer your day. You feel overwhelmed, unfocused, and wonder why you're mentally scattered. Contrast that with this. Before doing anything else, you pause for 2 minutes, write down a single intention. Today, I will practice patience during stressful moments, or I will focus deeply during my first work session. You've now primed your brain to look for opportunities to fulfill that goal. Then, at night, you take 3 to 5 minutes to reflect. You ask, did I follow through? What did I learn? Where can I adjust? This process isn't about judgment. It's about updating your internal schema, a cognitive framework your brain uses to interpret the world. Here's the neuroscience-backed protocol. In the morning, write down 1 to 3 clear intentions. This activates dopamine-releasing circuits that increase motivation and goal salience. In the evening, reflect on those intentions. Journaling or simple mental review helps consolidate neural circuits involved in behavior change. Focus on specificity over volume. The brain responds best to clear, emotionally relevant goals, not vague aspirations. Why does this work? When you assign conscious attention to a goal, you engage the top-down control systems of the brain, overriding the reflexive bottom-up noise that often dominates your day. This enhances neuroplasticity in the circuits tied to reward, attention, and behavior regulation. Reflection also stimulates data wave activity, especially in the hippocampus and medial prefrontal cortex, areas involved in memory consolidation and emotional processing. Here's the reframe. Setting an intention is not just a motivational practice, it's neural programming, and reflecting isn't about dwelling on mistakes. It's about training your brain to recognize patterns, extract meaning, and adapt more intelligently the next time. In a world full of noise, this is how you take the reins of your nervous system. You're not drifting, you're directing. Finally, number 7, prioritizing sleep and circadian rhythm alignment. If there's one daily behavior that underlies nearly every other cognitive, emotional, and physiological function, it's sleep. And more than just sleep quantity, it's the timing of your sleep and wakefulness, your circadian rhythm, that determines the quality of your brain and body's performance. Let's start with the neuroscience. Your circadian rhythm is regulated by a cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. This is your body's master clock, and it syncs to the outside world through one main signal: light. When you get sunlight in your eyes early in the day, especially within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, you trigger a cascade: a rise in cortisol in the appropriate healthy way, a shift in melatonin suppression, and a 24-hour timer that influences when you feel sleepy later that night. If you delay this signal, say by staying indoors all morning or getting light from artificial sources, you send mixed messages to the SCN. The result? Poor sleep, disrupted energy, mood instability, and impaired cognition. Let's apply this to a real-world scenario. Someone wakes up at 7:30 a.m., checks their phone, stays indoors under dim lighting until their first Zoom meeting. Maybe they get outside in the afternoon. That night, they struggle to fall asleep or wake up at 3 a.m. with racing thoughts. This is not a sleep problem, it's a circadian misalignment problem. The brain is out of sync with the environment. So what can you do? Here's a science-backed protocol to optimize sleep and brain function. Get 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight exposure within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. On cloudy days, aim for 15 to 20 minutes. Don't wear sunglasses during this time, though contacts and prescription lenses are fine. Avoid bright, artificial light, especially overhead light. After 8 or 9 p.m., use dim, warm lighting in the evening to signal the brain it's time to start winding down. Go to bed and wake up at consistent times, even on weekends. This strengthens the coupling of your circadian and sleep systems. Instead of reaching for your phone, practice NSDR or Yoga Nidra to re-enter a state of calm. Why does this work? When your circadian system is aligned, your brain optimizes the release of neuromodulators like serotonin, dopamine, and melatonin, creating stable energy during the day and deep, restorative sleep at night. Memory consolidation, immune regulation, emotional processing, all of these happen during quality sleep. In fact, some forms of neuroplasticity, the actual rewiring of neural circuits, only occur during sleep. That means everything else we've talked about, focus, movement, intention, gets cemented during this window. Here's the reframe. Sleep isn't the end of the day. It's the beginning of tomorrow. It's not passive. It's when your brain does its most important rewiring work. Every decision, every thought, every learning moment, they are all integrated through the lens of sleep. So, rather than seeing sleep as something you fit in, recognize it for what it truly is, the foundation of every other performance tool you use. All of these practices, focus, sleep, movement, connection, stillness, intention, and reflection, are not random lifestyle habits. They are levers, each one rooted in how your nervous system actually works. When you understand that your brain and body are part of a dynamic system, you begin to see your daily behaviors not just as things you do, but as signals you're constantly sending to your biology. And here's what's truly empowering. Each of these systems is trainable, each one is plastic, which means no matter where you're starting from, whether you're thriving or struggling, you can change the way your brain functions. But it doesn't happen all at once. It happens in repetition, in small daily investments, 5, 10, 20 minutes at a time, compounded over weeks and months. This is how real transformation occurs. So as you move forward, I'd encourage you to approach these not as checkboxes, but as foundations, things that, when practiced consistently, create a nervous system that is more resilient, focused, adaptive, and aligned. Not because it sounds good, but because that's what the science shows us. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Even one of these, practiced consistently, can change your baseline state over time. But together, they form a blueprint for how to build a brain and body that are truly optimized. Thank you for watching. Take care of your brain and it will take care of you.